Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. So today on the program, we have the one, the only Mr. Mike Cermak joining us here. If you have never heard one of his segments, they're very fun, they're very relaxed, and, heading into the holiday season, hey, we're probably going to ask him about his lights. That is the tradition. So everyone, hey, welcome into the show. Of course, you can listen to us on, of course, IRN, and we thank you so much for doing that. Other ways to listen to us include our live video feed over at twitch.tv/Computer America. We have the archives for YouTube. We're available across all the podcasting platforms. Our latest acquisition, or acceptance, I should say, because unfortunately, we don't have the money to buy Deezer, but hey, we at least have the clout to be on Deezer. So, hey, we're trying to get on every platform that you listen to, and if actually you use a platform, feel free to message us live at computeramerica.com. And, if we're not on one of your platforms, we'll do our best to be sure to, to get us there. And I'll probably, I might bring up some stuff about that a little bit later in the show. But overall, like I said, it's going to be a fun show today. And I hope that you are all warm, you are all comfy, and hey, you're ready for the show. So before I go any further, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find links. That's where you'll find the show notes. That's where you will find all the articles and things like that. Over at Computer America, all written by myself or anyone on our staff. We have some very interesting articles that go back, many years. I think actually we did like a little, like when we transitioned from front page, which no one needs to know about, but when we made the transition, we didn't actually keep a lot of the archives. Like I think somewhere in the records we have archives of like every show going back to like the early 2000s, but hey, we at least have, I know, like 4 years worth of shows and show notes up on our website. So there's a lot of backlog. Computer America is not meant to be listened to episode 1 to episode 2 to episode 3. Jump in whenever you want, and we hope that you have fun. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring our guest in and just get started talking. So as I said before, Mike Cermak, he is a Computer America correspondent and of course owner operator of techguide.org. If you go to computeramerica.com and you try to, of course, message us here on the show, we'll do our best to help you. But if you want a more immediate answer, check out the community over at techguide.org, where it's a forum, and of course you can post questions, ask questions, and probably even more importantly, answer questions. So everyone, welcome onto the show once again. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Not half bad. And yeah, man, I know that it's almost cliche to talk about the weather, but we have gone from like snow to like 60 degrees, almost 70 degrees, and I'm getting snow whiplash. So I don't know. But
yeah,
hey,
it's the worst up here right now is the wind. We have some jobs outside right now. We do, wireless networking, point-to-point stuff, and also some IP cameras. And we have some cameras we're supposed to be installing for a municipality soon. And I just keep putting it off because it was snowing one day, and it was like 30-mile-per-hour gusts one day. And it's just like, I don't want to be up on the bucket truck, and I don't want my guys to be either. It's just all of a sudden it became winter. I don't know what the heck happened.
It came in a hurry for absolutely. And by the way, fun fact: we have a review of actually a Wi-Fi security camera that we put up, and this is, I think it's actually like the first Wi-Fi, or I should say Wi-Fi camera, security camera that we've reviewed on the show. Not the best reviewed product that we've ever had. I had fun reviewing it. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd actually like to talk about that a little bit on the show with you.
Sure.
But yeah, it was definitely an interesting arena, and it was just one. I'm sure that you set up systems with dozens, at a time. But yeah, it's definitely weird. But before we do, let's get a little bit of background on, of course, TechEye.org and yourself. What do you try to accomplish, if anything, by coming on Computer America here?
What do I accomplish here? Just hanging out with you guys because it's a lot of fun and trying to keep up on news and events and everything going on. But techguy.org, to give a shout out to the site, I've been running it forever. Since 1996, we started. It was one of the first tech support forums out there. And you mentioned you have archives going back to the early 2000s on Computer America. I don't remember, you guys might know, when I was first on Computer America, it may have been in the early 2000s. Maybe, I honestly don't even remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, let's see, and I'm just checking my our current system, because like we transferred. I'm sure that you know this. Like over the years, you switch systems, and I find it of little value to keep track. Like I think we have like audio recordings of.
I am a pack rat. You're talking to the wrong guy here. I am just I keep much more than I should ever keep, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that Craig he has like 8 terabytes of storage that I'm sure he keeps all the Computer Americas. I'm sure that he still has the most recent backup of, like I said, front page website. In case we ever need to bring that back.
You never know, man.
Absolutely. So
I see some mentions here of being on in 2004, but I can't say for sure that might have been about right. That might have been the first one.
2004. What do you think was the big issue going on in 2004? I guess back then, that's when people first started having problems with computers, because that's when people started really using them, I guess.
No, believe it or not, I think we had computers even before that.
Yeah, but they were just things that the office that management had you train on.
I don't even remember how. I'll have to talk to Craig and to a couple of the people on TSG and see what they remember of that. But I'll bet I even have a copy of that first recording. We ought to find it. I would probably be so young and so naive and so nervous to be on the air.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you were willing to ask to dredge that back up, because I know that my first appearance on Computer America, I would never want that re-aired again, ever, ever. I'm happy. I'm happy with how things have progressed.
I'm so happy that, and I was so excited to be reinvited back, and I'm glad to continue to be on. So I'm here just because it's a lot of fun, and I love you guys and love trying to stay up to date with everything.
Absolutely, and hey, of course, before we even get to some of the topics and other stories that we have in computer technology news, I actually wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit. And man, I've not been through my email in forever, and I have a lot of email. And unfortunately for people out there, and me complaining about my email is simply from the fact that. Oh, hey, look, I have an interview request for a rabbi. Nice. For Hanukkah. But CES 2020, yeah, hey, that might be fun. But CES 2020 is coming up in January.
Around the corner. Yeah, man. I've gone to CES many, many times, and I am not this year. The problem is my son was born in January, so his birthday is always right around CES, and so I haven't been back since then. But I hope to go back again one day. Maybe I'll bring him with me.
Yeah, hey, I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I will say that I also have a January birthday, so whenever I do get the chance to go out to CES, I get to spend my birthday in Vegas, so that's also fun.
You can't beat that. Of course, when you're turning 9, it's not quite as appropriate.
Hey, there are still stuff for kids to do. I think Vegas tried to like reinvent themselves as like a family destination a little while ago.
Did they though?
They tried.
Do they still have do they still have the adult event next door to CES?
No, actually, I don't know if that's been changed, but I think they actually changed the date to like in the middle of the year. I know that it was moved from like right across the street at the same time, which is what it was. I think that they moved the date.
I promise I never went, but I always thought it was funny how they coincidentally lined up those dates so they were right next to one another.
Yeah, it was always the joke there when when you're flying in and you ask the people sitting next to you, it's like, so you going to CES or the adult show? And
they usually didn't have to ask; you could usually tell.
Yeah, too much cologne. But I will say, before we get to even CES, and by the way, Mike, we're probably going to have to reschedule you because I'll be out at CES, or it'll be the holidays when
I hope you
our
have
show
fun, man.
normally would be. So, maybe after CES, have a lot to talk about. And hey, love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, after CES. Yes. All right, and here are your topics, by the way, right below the rabbi. So I will say, before we get to the topics, though, I wanted to kind of pick your brain on security cameras. And I'm sure I'm assuming that you work mostly with Wi-Fi security cameras, or do you do like the 3G, 4G cellular Wi-Fi cameras? I mean,
Yeah, no, most of the stuff we do are hardwired. Now,
okay.
for some stuff when we're doing for polls and for municipalities and things like that, we will do point-to-point wireless, and my favorite for that is Ubiquiti stuff. So we'll do, a 5 gigahertz jump back to the main building and down to some poles and things like that, but the cameras themselves are usually hardwired. I'm yeah, for commercial purposes, I'm not
Mhm.
a big fan of wireless because I figure if I need to run a wire anyway for electricity, I might as well run data and not have, any other issues with interference or anything else. Now
Yeah,
for home, then there's that's a different argument, but
yeah, and of course, we kind of set it up here. I actually use it at my home, and just the convenience. It was Wi-Fi, wireless, as a battery. So depending on how much it records, it claims, so far we have yet to run it dead. It's been about 3 weeks, but yeah, it claims it can do about 2 months, I think, on a single charge. So pretty good.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. And of course, that'll vary a great deal depending on how much motion there
Yeah.
is wherever you're placing it. But that for a home use, that's great.
Yeah, and kind of setting up like the biggest problem I had, and this may come down to, I think that homeowners, they won't be buying enough cameras. They won't have enough experience with brands and types of cameras that they won't develop a preference. Like obviously, you with your business, you're going to have your clients who maybe they recommend that, we bought this system. Could you install it? Or you could say, or they could tell you, what would you recommend? And I'm sure that you have your own preferences for,
Mhm.
cameras. Homeowners really won't have that option. Like, homeowners won't go through this routine dozens of times. They might have two, three, four cameras, at max, and they'll just kind of use what they have. Yeah. And,
Well, and one thing I
yeah.
will tell you is just yesterday I installed a Nest Hello wireless doorbell,
Oh yeah.
which is, they have their own line of wireless cameras as well.
Yeah, and
And
of course the Nest Hello, and that will be our first topic when we get to the news. And the Nest Hello, I'm assuming, is the Google's answer to Amazon's recent acquisition, which will be the Ring line of products. So
yep,
the Ring
you've got it.
doorbell. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and it's pretty neat. I really like it. I mean, as far as there's pros and another thing to consider whenever you're looking at wireless doorbells and or wireless cameras in general is then if they're recording to the cloud, you're using up an awful lot of your bandwidth. So whenever I installed it, it tells me that 2 megabits per second of my upload is going to be used continuously for streaming this video up to the cloud, which, depending on the speed of your internet and how many cameras you have, may or may not be a problem.
That 2 megabits a second, and really, even if it was like 5 years ago, I think a lot of people would have had simply 12 megabits per second, or 18, or even 6 in some places, and some places still have 6. 2 megabits per second is pretty crazy, but luckily, I think the average internet speed last I checked in the U.S. was like 43, so that's becoming
But
less and
that's
less of a problem.
down.
Yeah,
The problem here is
you're right.
up.
Upload. You're right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So and that's the problem a lot of people don't realize whenever they think about it. Even people like you who know the difference, you instinctively because all we ever really care about
Yeah.
is down. It's rare to think about going the other direction. And so you have to think about it. Oftentimes people will have a 50 meg down, but they'll only have 5 or 10 up. So if you're using a half of that or a quarter of that just for one camera and you decide, well, I'm going to put 5 cameras up, all of a sudden you're not going to get the quality you think you will, and you may notice it if you then go to start streaming some Netflix on various compute or various screens. So it's just something to be aware of, something to think about. That's another reason, especially for businesses, especially for larger installs where you're going to have more than a handful of cameras, that wireless cloud-based ones sometimes don't make sense.
And really that upload speed just irked me so much. Like we have a cable provider. I've yet to name them on the show because I pick on them so much. It
could be any of them. That doesn't narrow it down at all. They're all terrible.
well, and these guys are terrible because like they kept pushing the limits of the download speed, and it was like, great, we upgraded you for free. You went from 100 to 250 overnight, and now we're up to like 350 without even asking for it. Of course, we still pay for the highest tier. It's not like they're upgrading us for no reason. But like they give us like 350 download, but obviously for the studio that we have here, and we stream the video, and really having more upload kind of bandwidth would really be helpful. Man, they had us stuck on like at one point I think we had like 300 upload and 300 download and 5 upload.
Yeah, which for most people, for most use, if you are not a creator, then that is just fine.
Yeah, that would handle like voice over IP and stuff easily. Yeah.
But yeah, for creators or in this case, for digital IP cloud cameras, it's just something new we're going to have to think about.
Definitely. So anyways, I we got this camera for review, and really the video quality, and every time
did you get? I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you say?
I actually didn't say. The review on our site is let's see, the application's My Home, and I'm trying to think holy cow, I can't believe I forgot it. Let's see. So Computer America, and get to the wrong site because of autofill. How dare you ambush me with questions like what brand? I wasn't prepared. All right. Well, I'll get it in a second, and I'll break my thought with this. Anyways, when I got it though, it was like by the way, it's the IMI Lab EC2 cordless AI security camera, and the AI comes into play when it can detect the difference between just leaves blowing and an actual person. So the IMI Lab. I don't know if you have any experience with those.
No, I'm not familiar with them.
I think that they are huge, and really they're just essentially rebranding Huawei security camera or kind of Wi-Fi cameras, and they don't handle the manufacturing. I kind of dug into their background. They handle.
Nobody does anymore, right?
Yeah,
nobody actually does anything anymore. Everyone.
There's really one company
that builds things.
Kind of like Wi-Fi antennas and phones, and kind of phone chips and stuff like that. Like they're all made by like 2 companies, and then every other company is just the branding.
It's really not much of an exaggeration.
It's not. Anyways, so they rebranded, and unfortunately, I had this problem again. You probably either have figured out the kinks or don't have them because of your preferred. The only real issue I had with the camera, because I like the quality, I like the data storage, all that kind of good stuff. The only thing I had trouble with was the mistranslations, and they kept saying you need to download the MyGia app, the MIXIA app. And I wrote in my review I had trouble finding the correct app for the phone because MyGia is a mistranslation of My Home, which is the accurate. That's the accurate name of the app. And I actually contacted them, and they're like, well, sorry that you had trouble. Could you please point out, in our manual where you read MyGia, so that our quality control team would like to fix that. And I'm like, sure. And then I took 15 different photos of 15 different places within their own instruction booklet that said MyGia instead of My Home. And they were used almost interchangeably. Like it was like half and half, My Home, MyGia. It was like, other than the mistranslation, everything else worked flawlessly. So I don't know. Have you had that problem, like kind of like in the commercial sector? I've certainly had that with
other devices. Most of the commercial ones are at least well enough translated that's not a problem.
That's
I haven't run into that too much. Not that I haven't seen that with other devices, especially when you get that cheap stuff directly. It reminds me, I've got a Bluetooth headset from Amazon, straight from China, sort of thing, not too long ago, and the instructions were very poorly translated, and everyone's had that experience where you're like, well, I can sort out what they mean. But that's interesting. I haven't run into that specifically before.
Yeah, and really, I think it's only going to continue to be a problem because I'm sure that they'll fix it later, and if not this
Yeah,
company,
right.
then the next company
Well,
that's
and at least they're responsive. I mean,
yeah.
heck, I mean, I've got companies that can speak English, but they won't respond to a complaint like that.
Yeah, yeah, they were definitely very cordial, and it was great working with them. After that review, maybe my last time, but hey, you got to be honest where you got to be honest. And like I feel like if it's not going to be them, it's going to be the next company that is going to pop up and do this because China is really pushing out the products, and like I said, there's really only a handful of actual hardware manufacturers. But there are hundreds, and I say this because we were talking about CES 2020. I think the numbers are like almost half of the presenters there are companies founded in China. It's the amount of money that they're putting into the show and really just into the consumer tech space is going to be very noticeable in the coming years.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So there's that, but hey, that's a whole different conversation. But it's one I wanted to have, just that IP security cameras and really just in this case a Wi-Fi security camera. Man, I am happy that I got to review this because now I get to have the residual effects. I get to have one of these in my home, and I love it. It's a really nice thing to have. So let's go ahead and transition into you with installing. For those of you watching the video portion, we have the let's see. This is the Nest Hub Max, and also like you mentioned,
what a wonderful name that is, right? The Google Nest Hub Max. It just rolls right off the tongue.
It's very coherent. So really, for everyone out there, just so if you get if you get a problem with one of these things, or you have a problem memorizing this, I just want everyone to remember Nest, as in the Nest thermostat. You may recall,
right?
Google that was them up. Yeah, that was purchased by Alphabet and of course Google. So then they decided that was the best way to brand Google's new home devices, including their smart speakers and doorbells and things like that.
But not just brand it Nest, but we also have to brand it Google Nest.
Yes, it's the Google. It can't just be Nest. It has to be Google Nest. So that's where Nest comes into play. Anything that says Nest or Google Nest is a home device for Google. So now you have the Nest Hub Max and the Nest Hello. So I'm assuming you got a Hub Max.
Yes. That's right. Yeah. So I got a Black Friday special. I wasn't really looking for anything in particular, but I always liked the idea of a smart home display. We've had Amazon Echoes throughout the house, and I have several of the Home Minis, the Google Home Minis, that I've gotten free for various reasons. I think I got one with a Pixel phone once, and got one. I don't remember. They were, they showed up at my house because Google wanted to listen in, and I just plugged them in. But so I've always kind of had both, but we've just got into the Amazon ecosystem. And I decided, I really want to test one of these out. So I got it along with this bundle with the Hello. We did not have a smart doorbell before. We just had a regular dumb doorbell. And
I believe the term is feature doorbell, much like not dumb phones, feature phones. Yes.
Feature, right. It had one feature and installed that. And I've got to say that the doorbell install, while I was going through the install for the Nest Hello, and it works very similar to the Ring doorbell. When someone rings it, it shows up on your phone. What's also nice is on your Nest, your Home Minis, and on your home hub, your Nest Hub,
right?
Google Nest Hub. It also chimes on there and lets you know when there's someone at the door, and you can respond to them and talk to them through those devices as well, which is really nice. But the install was really easy for both devices, but for the doorbell, they kind of make it sound more difficult than it is. And in many points during the install process through the app, it says, maybe you want to get a pro, click this button to find a pro near you to help you. But I think it took me, less than 10 minutes to swap out my doorbell with this one, including the change I had to make up to where the chime is.
So, and just real quick, the problem that I think Google would have with that is that they don't want anyone installing their product and then shocking themselves, hurting
Sure.
themselves.
Yeah, liability.
Was there ever a point where you could have done that, or is it just simply kill the breaker, swap it out, you're good to go?
Right. Well, so yeah, you're exactly right. So the thing is that these smart doorbells, and I believe they're all work this way. The normal doorbell in most homes has a transformer somewhere in the building, which is sometimes mysterious and hidden away, that then feeds up to the chime that most people know where that is. And that's usually around 16 volts AC. It may be 20 volts, it may be 24, it may be 8. It's usually somewhere in that range. It's usually not 110 where you're going to kill yourself or
Yeah.
potentially really hurt yourself by touching it. But that's usually the case. Now, these doorbells work in a range. I think the Google Home works between 16 and 24 volts AC. So if you're anywhere in there, it works fine. And if you're less than that, then you have to update the transformer, and that's where you have to touch 110 and make sure you got the breaker off and all that kind of good stuff. Where you
Hmm.
probably do want an electrician technically. But people were funny when a lot of people are not comfortable with wires, and and some people like me are a little bit too comfortable, and I don't know which breaker my doorbell's on. But I took my multimeter and saw, all right, I got 16 volts AC. I'm good. I'll go ahead and just swap this out right here and just not touch the wires together. So I just did it live because I'm dumb like that. Don't tell Google. But you could have just, instead of going through and trying to figure it, they suggest turning off each breaker and hitting the doorbell to make sure you get the right one, or just turn off your main breaker for the whole house. And if you're smarter than me, that's what you would do. But it really isn't that dangerous. And if you know what voltage you're dealing with,
Right.
if you have a multimeter and are careful.
And so many projects are like that, especially around the home, and especially like around your car. Like for most cars, changing the changing the air filter, or changing your oil, or like at home, like let's say like an AC filter or something like that. Like small little jobs like that. That's we've really become, I know this because I never really did a lot of my own maintenance on a lot of my things, especially around the house or my car. And then when I did, I was like, man, I was paying someone $40 to do what took me 10 minutes and $5.
Right.
Yeah. So and I will say that I think Amazon has this program. I'm not sure of Google's program, but Amazon is purchased a company that would send quote unquote experts. It's probably people like me or you that would come out of people's homes, who just know how to Google a little better. And they'll come out to your home and install, let's say, your computer that you just bought or your TV that you just bought. Yeah, and I know that Amazon has that service. I
Right.
think Google would probably have a competitor that they're trying to push with that.
Well, and I know that I didn't click the link, but I think it's specific to the Nest Hello doorbell at the moment. I don't think they offer too much else. Well, I don't know. Maybe they do for the cameras as
Well,
well.
they also mentioned, well, and I think it's about the same consultation call, in-home consultation, and it works with the thermostat, it works with the home max, it works with the doorbell.
Yes.
So
And they
yeah,
probably have them available for the thermostat as well.
which is just, that is one of the craziest things about Google to me, because if you ever have an issue, like let's say you work with YouTube or you work with Gmail and you have an issue and you're like, I need to talk to someone, that is the biggest dead end with Google ever. Like good luck trying to
no,
get
we
someone.
don't talk to people.
Yeah, good luck trying. Like, if you have an issue with Gmail and you want to talk to a representative, you will, like, there's only robots. There's only robots. And now
Right.
with these products, they will send someone to your home. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. That's so
Well,
strange
and of
for
course
Google.
they'll send someone to your home, if you pay a arm and a leg, or pay a third party for it. It's not as though it's you're not getting free tech support.
Yeah, yeah, and it's probably not directly Google, but a representative who can work with Google. So it's just strange. So you install these things, and obviously, have you had any smart devices in your house, or maybe one staying in your office? Like, are you familiar with smart devices, or
Oh yes,
did you
certainly.
go?
Most of my light switches are smart light switches that I have controlled using the Amazon Echo and now using the Google Assistant. And what else? We've got Nest thermostats. We've got, what else do we have? We have a couple of IP cameras here already of various types, and many of them are OnVIF compatible. And I was a little disappointed that the screen doesn't support just any camera. It's nice because I can go to the Google Nest Hub Max, rolls right off the tongue, and I can tell it, okay, so and so. I'm not going to for your listeners. I'm not going to actually say the keyword there.
Right.
Okay, so and so, to show me the front door, and it'll show me the feed from the front door. Hello doorbell, which is pretty cool. I like that. Um, I wish, and there's a handful of other cameras, of course, Nest cameras being one of them, that they're compatible with, but it's a pretty closed ecosystem, and I guess the API for that is really closed in right now, especially after they closed down the Nest API, which came with a whole lot of controversy over the last couple of months. There was a lot of back and forth with
Well,
that.
so and actually, I should correct one thing, and then I'll talk about the controversy. We mentioned, it probably cost someone to come out there, and just here in the frequently asked questions, what does it cost? Do I have to buy anything? This is for the in-home consultation of any of their products, and they say this is a complimentary service Google offers to educate customers on the benefits, and they're not paid on commission, so they won't.
Now that's for the in-home consultation. I
Yes.
think that's different than an in-home installation. I
Probably,
think if you hit the
definitely,
pro to
definitely.
come in and install, they're going to charge you for that. But yeah, you're right. There is a consultation that they
Right.
have available, and I think I don't know if that's available everywhere or not, but
Uh,
I-
I have not read the fine print. Probably just Kansas City, if I had to guess. So with that being said, now the controversy, I've heard the controversy more for the Ring doorbell line of doorbells, because law enforcement, and actually cover this story. I think that in like every year preceding to the beginning of 2019, they had like a total of like 250 different police forces. So that would be like your New York police force or your LA police force, what have you. They had like 250 different police precincts that were working with Ring and Amazon to get footage of neighborhoods where crimes were happening, had been committed, that kind of thing. And they mentioned that they would turn over that, like, not even with, and this is my issue with it, not even with like a subpoena, not even with like something from the courts. No, the cops asked for it, and the company is just like, here you go. They didn't even try, but whatever. Anyway, so 250 up until 2019. Now, I think by like October 2019 was when the data was stopped collected for the article I read. They're up to like 650. Like, it's ballooned, where like almost like police agencies know they can contact Nest or Ring and get video footage, even if it's completely unrelated, of any neighborhood anywhere that might help them solve a crime. And that's a controversy because, hey, that means that every person who installs a video doorbell could potentially be part of a massive surveillance network, whether or not they sign on to it. Now, I have to, and Mike, I'm going to let you talk here in just a minute because I'm long-winded, but
I am too.
I did just want to mention that both companies cover their butts a little bit by saying that they always contact the owner of the video, which would be the person who owns who owns the video or who owns the doorbell. They always contact them and say, "Hey, law enforcement would like access to your archives."
Okay, good.
Yeah, would you give them permission? And that's how they cover themselves. I don't know if that's ever been
Is
circumvented.
that a problem then? If you are getting the consent of the homeowner, is it a problem?
I think that I have not heard of a case where that's been circumvented, but I do see a future where they skip that
I
step.
think the concern would be if the law enforcement is abusing it. You don't want a circumstance where they can just outright start viewing everyone's cameras everywhere, and potentially you would open that up for abuse. And some of the controversy, some of the criticism I've heard about the Ring deal was that it's very broad in what they can do. They can say, I'm interested. There was an incident that took place at this address, and I want everything within a mile of it and within 12 hours of it. Something, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like that. It was very broad.
I think the current policy is anywhere within a quarter mile of a reported incident. Now, of course, if you
I think within 12 hours, I think that part was, unless it's been
12 hours and within a quarter mile. But of course, think about, let's say, a high-speed chase, that would cover, a lot of streets. That would cover a lot of area.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so that part, but if you're getting permission from the homeowner, then I don't really see what the problem is. I should be able to, as the homeowner, I should be able to choose to send any footage to the police that I want to.
yeah, and I know that bringing up the slippery slope argument is a huge fallacy. That is a bad way to argue points, but it's a slippery slope. It's right now they're asking for permission. We've seen it before with Apple, just to take another large tech company, where they will not give you any data that is stored on a person's device because Apple sees it that it's Mike Cermak's iPhone. So hey, we will not give you his stuff because we have no, it's not our stuff. But if it's stored on the Apple iCloud, they'll turn that over immediately because it's stored on Apple servers. It's therefore their data, even though even though you generated it, Apple has permission from themselves to give it to law enforcement. It can
There's a big
switch very
difference
quickly.
there, though. So that there's a big difference between the company giving away my information without against my wishes or without my approval versus with my approval. If I opt in, if I say yes, I want the police to be able to have access to this, that's very different than me being in jail and them saying, hey, give me his information so we can use it against him. That it's a very different scenario.
Yeah, it is. I have no doubt, and trust me, I have no doubt that the tech journalists out there would love to over exaggerate the idea of a police state and tech companies feeding into it. I know that pushes headlines, that makes links.
And it certainly is an issue that you need to consider security as far as that. I'm not as scared of law enforcement as some people seem to be. Certainly there's bad people in every group. If you look at law enforcement or garage or garbage men or doctors or whatever, there's bad people in every group. But so there are people who would abuse it, and I'm sure who have abused it. But I think that people do need to be concerned as far as security goes because I have read recently about reports with people with smart cameras, especially those with two-way audio, that then get taken over by a hacker and they start, talking to their kids through the baby monitor.
I remember that.
There's a lot of that going on, and people are shocked to find out that they're like, I don't understand how this could happen. I'm never going to have a smart camera in my home again. And I'm like, or don't make your password, or
or have any password and not just an open, and not just a blank field. And every time I hear that, every time I hear about that story, I always just imagine some kid, just some baby sleeping peacefully in their crib in their nursery, and then just the webcam, just someone just screaming at the top of their lungs and just startling the kid and just being a real jerk. That's the only thing that I can imagine that you're really doing to these kids.
But people really panic over it. There was this person who said that they went into the room and saw the camera talking to their kid and they didn't know what to do, so they went to leave, and as they went to leave, the doorbell talked to them and said, hey, come back in, and they went and went to a hotel because they didn't know what to do. And I was like, well, maybe first of all unplug the camera. Like, what do you like? And the concept of people being able to log into your account as if you have a weak password or have use the same password on every website is an everyday event to computer guys like us. I mean, that's all. That's use a password manager, use strong passwords, use two-factor authentication. But the average person doesn't do that, doesn't know to do that, doesn't care to go to the trouble to do that. And then stuff like this happens and they don't understand the technology. They don't understand it's just some kid, it's just Ben sitting down there miles and miles away, just goofing off.
Yeah.
It's not a serial killer. It's just
maybe that's where it should really come into play, is that people need to actually know what they're putting. Like, it's not, you have it, I have it. It's not a bad thing to have a camera in your home. It's not a bad thing to have microphones and speakers in your home. What might be a bad idea is to have these things and not truly understand what you are dealing with. Maybe that's a big like just this disconnect between here's what I have and here's what it can do. Maybe that's the problem. I will say though that for everyone out there thinking, these people were targeted, they were, it was very specific people. I will say that when it comes, and sorry, my entire brain went away when you had this link in here about the BBC with Elon Musk testifying about pedo guy, and my brain was like just short circuited. But I do want to say that there is a service, and I don't recall it off the top of my head, but if you're wondering, how people even find, like, let's say your camera, there's a service out there that, just like Google, it will send out little bots and it will get back responses. You simply type in either like a location or a brand of camera or something like that, and it comes up with a giant master list of links that you simply just click on, and you can get access to webcams from around the world. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them are in Brazil or China, and they're just, kind of outdoor do nothing cameras. But yeah, they're like, it's an automated process that a random, quote unquote Google search will bring up your camera if you don't set up the privacy correctly.
Right. And that's absolutely right. And that is a huge problem people are unaware of. But likewise, if you have the same password on, your Nest camera or your Ring doorbell or whatever cloud camera system you use, if you use the same password for that as you use for some other website that gets hacked, people will just go into, Ring or go into Nest and just try it. Like, oh, well, I saw, this is in the database of hacked, passwords. It's, Ben at Computer America with the password Mike is awesome. Let's see if he has an account anywhere else with those credentials.
Yeah.
But that's why you need a password manager, and that's why you need to use different passwords, because that happens all the time. It's so simple. I can go out here and download lists of millions and millions of email addresses and passwords for cracked websites.
Yeah, I think the largest that they've ever found in the wild was a master, hack password list with 3.1 billion passwords. Most of them coming from old Yahoo email accounts. But still, I don't know many people out there who have the creativity to outsmart 3.1 billion different passwords. So you got to get more creative than football one, than password one. You got to get more creative. So definitely.
I think I've told this story before on here, but I will again because I think it's so important. I have a password manager I use. I love it. My wife sent me a message, a couple months ago saying, "Hey, I need your Amazon password to get it to a digital thing we had bought." So I sent it to her, and it was, pound AQC, / it's
32 characters long.
The password manager generated it for me, and she was like, "What the hell is this? I don't even know how to make some of these symbols." and it's like, that's what all of my passwords look like now, and that's what yours should too. You shouldn't, if you know what your password is to a website, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And really, and we could even get into like the technical reasons with, hashing and salting and blah, 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 and why, just having, like, if your password anywhere has been compromised once, just having the hash version of the password means that it's really not effective anywhere else. So, but to avoid getting into that conversation, we have other fun topics to talk about. And really, I wanted to get into this next one because, yes, Mike, we have talked about it on the program, although I've never been to the actual website of the Cybertruck.
Yes.
So this is
Cybertruck is a thing.
Yeah, the Cybertruck. This is the this was, I dare say, ridiculed when it was debuted about like last Monday. I think was when it first was announced. And this thing, it looks like a low-res version of, like I said on the show, it looks like I love it because it reminds me of like the old Halo 1 Warthog. It has just as many polygons without the turret. It's wonderful.
Imagine if you set your graphic settings to high, it would look awesome.
It would have more than 8 polygons, absolutely. So why did you want to bring and obviously we've talked about Tesla and Elon Musk in particular. They have really nice cars. The Model S, the 3, the X, the Y, which by the way spells sexy if you put them all together.
No coincidence there.
Yeah, and now you come out with the Cybertruck. So you want one. That's clearly what I'm getting from this.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, I'm expecting, if you could hook me up with a Computer America credit card, I would really appreciate it. Don't tell Craig, we'll be good.
Well, actually, fun fact, you may not even need a Computer America credit card because I think to pre-order this thing, it's only like $100.
That's right. Yeah, so you won't even notice the charge on your card. It's only $100. I already put my $100 down. I put it down the night of the thing.
Did you?
And I totally did. I love it. And see, my thing is, I love function
Good.
over what's it
Function over
called?
form. Yeah.
Form. Thank you. I was blanking on it. Yeah, function over form, and that's clearly what this is. It's clearly function over form because it's so darn ugly, and I kind of like it. I did, and it's $100 refundable, so I was like, why not? So I put it down, and there's a lot to talk about on this. I know you've already talked about a lot of it, but one thing that just shocked me when I was watching it, was the price. It starts at 39,000. And even the highest version is what, 69,000?
The highest, I think. Well, I think the highest 6.9 sounds about right. Maybe I, for some reason, I had like 74,000 because I think you have to add on an additional 7,000 if you want it to be compatible with the self-driving feature.
Yeah, full self-driving, right. Well, I think it'll be compatible either way. It's just whether or not you're going to pay for it up front. I think it's more expensive if you add it on later.
Probably.
But yes, that's exactly right. So it's 69,000 plus 7 for the full self-driving if you want to prepay for that because it's not actually available yet. But
2021 was the deadline.
For the self-driving or for the truck?
2021 was for the self-driving, and I think they were aiming for a release of early 2021 was when they're hoping to get this thing out.
Yeah, I heard that the
production.
first Cyber trucks are going to start rolling out the end of 2020, which, I'll believe it when I see it.
Tell us what happened with the Model S and the Model 3. How far behind schedule were they with those?
Perfect. I think they were early, were they not? Is that No, I don't think so. No, Tesla tells time a little bit differently than most of us do. They
That's a good way to put it.
Always off. Yeah, no, so you're absolutely right. There's no, I mean, I would not expect them to, I was going to say there's no way they'll deliver it on time, but I would not expect them to deliver it on time. Maybe they've learned from their mistakes. Maybe they will surprise us, but
you know what I really like about Tesla is that other car companies out there, they have these concept cars. You see them on the showroom floor. Like, trust me, if you've ever been to CES, one of the largest parts of the show, at least in the main hall, is the car section. And they have, they have concept cars. Here's what we're going to do. And then when it comes out, it looks like a slightly modified version of what's already out. At least Tesla, like, it's not just a Cybertruck. This thing's, like, if you're watching the video portion, this thing's driving around and it's pulling Ford F-150s up hills. It's a car, it's not just a concept.
And I do believe that they will be slow in releasing it, but I do believe they'll release it. I mean, it's the same thing with all the other cars. When the Model S was first announced, a lot of people called it vaporware. They didn't think it was actually going to be mass produced, and it was, and it still is. Same thing with the Model 3 when it came out. People were very skeptical about that. And the Model X with the stupid doors, the Falcon Wing doors, I heard many journalists and other people saying that whenever it does get released, there's no way it's going to have those doors. That's just concept, but they do it. I mean, they really so I believe that they will deliver it. Whether or not it's on time is a whole other matter, but I believe they will deliver it.
Yeah, and I truly do think as well, because really the main part of this is the same thing that is the main part of a lot of their other businesses, which is essentially batteries and just manufacturing the car itself. And I think they're really getting the batteries in check, like their ability to produce batteries. I think they just opened, or they just announced a new a new gigafactory in Germany, or outside of like Brussels or something like that. And they have one open and producing batteries in China. So they're making batteries. And by the way, for everyone out there, they also have one of the features. You could either have single motor, dual motor, or tri-motor, and just focusing on the highest end version there, which again is like 70,000, but really if you consider what it can do, kind of like a Ford F-250 as opposed to an F-150, 500-mile range. That's a huge range. On top of that, 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds. Instant torque. I'm sure that's helpful in some regards for a pickup truck. And towing capacity of 14,000 pounds. I mean, for a truck, I don't know those numbers for, more traditional entries into the market, but it seems like it can do work, which, that kind of scared me with Tesla. Electric cars are dainty, they're fragile, you don't want to beat them up. I think, and also with the lead ball test with the shattered window that they tried to do on stage, I think Elon is trying to show that, hey, our truck can do work. You can be rough with it, and it's going to be okay.
Right. Yep. And it's got the benefit of having not just 110 outlets in it, but also 220 outlets in the bed, so you can plug in real tools for it. And it has air compressor built into it that you can use. So it's certainly made for work. And I like the idea of the cover that comes down over the bed that can lock, so that you can protect the stuff you have in the back if you need to. It looks great to me.
And then of course they also announced the Cyber ATV or whatever the heck that thing is.
Right, so. That's exactly right. The ATV in the back that can then plug in and charge while it's sitting in the bed of the truck. Yeah, I don't know if I need an ATV, to be honest, but I definitely need the truck.
I never know, and this is again really the first time I've looked at a lot of these concept designs and what's inside of it. The steering wheel a bit different. Has kind of like the two handle kind of things like I don't know about, and of course they show it acting like a camper. I mean. It's going to be a different kind of car because it is essentially a giant battery. And if you want to treat it like a giant generator, then hey, it's your prerogative. I hope that it comes out, and I said this before. When I first saw the design, I'm not sure, Mike, if you saw the design of the old Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yes. Right.
That was atrocious. And then, of course, they came out with an updated design. Everyone loved it. It went viral, blah, blah, blah. I almost fear that that's what they were going for with the Cybertruck, where they release a really gaudy, messed up design. And then, in like 6 months or so, they're going to come out with a slightly more mass appeal version of the Cybertruck. And people are going to be like, that looks so much better. Why didn't they do that at the beginning? And it's going to go viral. So
yeah, I that could happen. I don't think it will in this case. Elon said before they even announced it that they may end up having to create a more conventional truck as well, because this one is going to be so different from
probably.
Yeah. So we will see. I think they probably will eventually come up with a more conventional one for people, but we shall see. I think that will be in addition to the Cybertruck, though, rather than in place of it.
And like I said at the beginning, I honestly do like how this looks. I think this will catch everyone's eye, and I mean, it's going to be really weird. Although I will say, first thing, kind of noticing, no side mirrors. That probably won't meet standard.
And honestly, that's been the case for a lot of their demo units. I think the Model X, whenever it was demoed, and maybe even the Model 3, I'm not sure about the Model 3, when it was demoed, they didn't have side mirrors on them. And they keep wanting to do the no side mirror thing, but as far as I know, that's still a regulation for federal roadworthiness, that you have to have side mirrors. Whether or not that'll change in the next year or two is yet to be seen. I know Tesla and several others are wanting to change that to allow you to use cameras instead, but I don't believe that's happened yet.
And I'm also glad that they did not go with kind of their old business practice. I think they moved away from it completely, which was Craig had a huge issue with this, where they would lock some of the potential of the engine behind like a little paywall. So you could buy, let's say, the Model 3 for like $30,000, and then you could raise it software wise if you ever pay the extra money.
That's true. Although we don't know for sure that they're not going to do that. For example, if you buy the single motor vehicle, you may be getting a dual motor one, and one of the motors just isn't functioning. And
that would be a bad move. I honestly believe
I don't know. Would it?
Move.
Why would that be a problem? If you're still getting what you're paying for, it's just that you actually have the option to upgrade that.
Because it was a bad idea before with the gating.
I don't know if it was. See, I would argue with Craig on that one. I'm not sure if it was a bad idea. If it's more, if it makes economical sense for them to be able to manufacture them that way, for fewer SKUs,
I do recall that being the argument, where it was kind of easier for them to mass produce these things. And
right,
if and hey, you're right, if it gets these cars into more people's driveways, that's a good thing. I'm hoping that's not the case. Like, honestly, I hope that people get the most of what they pay for. I hope that's not the case where they get like dual motor instead of. So, I don't know. It's a whole thing, but still,
It seems unlikely in the case of motors. I can see it more with battery packs, but who knows? Crazier things have happened.
all right. So just
Well,
real quick,
it is the same thing. I know we're out of time, but it's the same thing with the self-driving though, because the self-driving, the hardware for it will be in the car either way.
Yeah,
it's just whether or not you're paying for the software up front.
Right. Yeah. You just need the cameras. The self-driving though, I completely understand because that's actually going to be a rather large liability, and
Yeah, that's true too.
I actually kind of get why they have to charge more for that. So completely get that. Now, real quick, and I'm going to see if we can squeeze in a couple topics here at the very end.
Go ahead.
Kind of like lightning. Elon Musk
Lightning
testifies in California pedo guy court case. This is like a story and a non-story at the same time, and I want to say it's a story and non-story because it's Elon Musk who's known to be a personality, on his own right.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
And he has decided to pick this fight with a gentleman who helped rescue the 12 boys that were trapped in a cave in Thailand. And Elon Musk, of course, did the completely weird thing of calling him a pedo guy.
Completely weird, right? So this was during the whole cave rescue thing that was going on,
right?
And if you remember, Elon wanted to create this submarine to help go through and the cave and rescue the
because
people.
He's an engineer, so he came up with an engineering solution, and that was
of course,
yeah,
right. That's the way it happens, and they didn't end up using it. And this guy made fun of it, and that hurt Elon's feelings. And Elon called him a pedo guy or a pedo guy, implying that he was a pedophile. And then he kind of like doubled down on it. Like someone questioned him on it, and I forget the exact tweets, but there was one where he's like, "I'd bet you a signed dollar," and then he doubled down on it again later. Like there was a interview with someone, and he said something about it to them as well, that clearly meaning that. And now he's kind of backtracking. So the guy sued him because, if you're going to call me a pedo guy, I'm going to sue you, especially if you're Elon Musk.
And by the way, some of the exchanges. So I guess the tweet or the response that that the guy heading the rescue attempts for the boys, he said that Elon Musk was simply doing this as like a PR stunt, which I think even at that point, Elon Musk did not need any PR stunts. I think he had all the PR on his side. But he said he could, quote, stick his submarine where it hurts. So that was the tweet that made Elon mad. And then Elon Musk said that it was wrong and insulting, so I insulted him back. It was he called the gentleman's attack on Elon an unprovoked attack that was good-natured, on what was a good-natured attempt to help the kids. And so, one side, the side with the gentleman said that, Elon Musk was using this as a PR stunt, and Elon took it personally, and of course, called him a creepy old man and blah, blah, blah. So you're saying that he backtracked now?
Yeah, so he backtracked now, and he's claiming that that's a phrase that's used in South Africa where Elon grew up, that, they use pedo guy just to mean creepy old guy, not literally a pedophile. And I don't think that's good. I think that's going to be very difficult to defend, especially considering some of his other quotes where he said, "Bet you a signed dollar it's true." And he told the BuzzFeed reporter, "Stop defending child rapists." He called the guy child rapist. That's not really just an offhanded term that you sometimes use meaning something else. That term means something very specific.
Yeah.
That's not. So I'm a big fan of Elon's work, but I'm afraid he's gone down the wrong path.
I do like this next, paragraph in this article here, saying that in a courtroom, Musk acknowledged that he was paying $52,000 or about 40,000 euro, or I should say pounds, to a private detective to dig up or to investigate the guy that is suing him. And that's $52,000 down the drain because the investigator was a con man. Man, yeah. Elon is just not doing himself any favors.
I think you're right. I don't think he's losing any sleep about the 52 grand, but you're right. That sure doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. The optics are really bad.
It doesn't look good, but on the other hand, if someone was suing me for calling him, I don't know. Would you not do that? Anytime you're in a high profile case, don't you just assume that the other...
Yeah.
Every bad thing, I mean, even for a small court case, any bad thing you've ever done in the past is going to get drudged up. That's not too
It
shocking
makes
to me.
Elon look thin-skinned, and despite
Well, he is.
despite well, it makes him look it too. And I gotta say that despite what you say about social media and Twitter and all that kind of thing, Elon Musk does have almost 30 million followers. So that's
Right.
30 million people that you are declaring this person is X thing without any proof or evidence or even
Just a really weird thing to do.
Yeah,
Just a really weird thing to do.
So there you go. And like I don't want to get into this too far. Like I understand there's a reputation with Thailand, and there are some very bad things that happen and blah blah blah. But to just outright say that this person helping these people is X or Y is just horrible and atrocious. So hey, I like Elon Musk's company. A lot of times he can be a funny guy. He does really weird things, and it's fun to report on. But this one is just one that I wish Elon would just say, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, and I wish he would separate himself as much as he could from the incident. So
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, and he has apologized to the guy, but only after double downing on it several times. So
right.
I don't know what he was thinking. At this point, there's nothing more you can do but apologize and lose the court case, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing that it went this far. That there's certain people on Twitter who just surprise me from time to time. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's certain leaders in this world that just shouldn't have access to Twitter.
It gets a little crazy. Like when someone told me that the future was going to be full of self-driving cars and and everything will talk back to you, I didn't realize that the future came with other, almost like monkey paw, like negative things happen as well. So yeah, we got this instead. So everyone, the music playing in the background, we're just about done. Mike Cermak, one more time, techguy.org.
Absolutely. Come check us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. Of course, link at Computer America. Mike, until next time, again, we're going to have to reschedule you, but it's going to be a lot of fun. CES 2020 after. And hey, until next time, thank you so much.
I'll see you.
All right, see ya. Everyone else out there, thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. Until that time, hey, we'll catch you then. Bye, everyone.